Hey everybody, I'm Arglefumf, and this is my speedrun for Nancy Drew, Midnight in Salem. Do you want to see me beat this game in under a half hour? Well, you're in luck! I'm gonna do it right now, beating this game as quickly as possible. Here's an interesting glitch. I'm gonna open the drawer with the key and double click on the drawer as it opens. Double click, the screen turns upside down for a moment. This allows me to skip the conversation with Deirdre Shannon. Deirdre is supposed to call when you exit here. Deirdre doesn't call. For some reason, double-clicking on the drawer while it opens completely gets rid of that phone conversation. I have no idea why. And it is kind of a tough glitch to do. It took me like 7 or 8 times in order to get it perfectly. But it's in the first minute of the game, so if you don't get it, you can easily just restart and try again. And that's what I did 7 or 8 times until I got it correct. I wonder if somebody can figure out the reasoning behind that glitch so we can do that again with the other parts of the game, you know, maybe skip other phone conversations. So here I'm just clicking through all the conversations as quickly as possible and skipping any cutscenes that show up. That's basically the first part of the game.
You know, you live in the same.
And I'm moving my mouse to the bottom of the screen, so I will click on conversation option number 2.
Well,
that is slightly faster than conversation option number 1. I believe it's 2 or 3 sentences shorter than the first conversation option. And this is a conversation where you have to talk about everything, so it doesn't matter what order you select the things in. Here's a phone call with Ned, which would be cool to skip, I guess, if you could glitch it. I mean, it's not a long conversation, but it still takes a while. Not as long as this. This is a loading screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, so that's kind of a long loading screen. There is no loading button, which shows up, but trust me, it's a loading screen. So, we just skipped over a cutscene where we talked to Olivia. And Olivia mentions her tour, so we go to Tegan to get a ticket for the tour, and then we're going to use the ticket on Olivia. You need to find, I believe it's 6 or 7 different Raven tokens scattered throughout the town, and this was kind of a pain. I mean, this is easy, because one is right here, right next to her. Obviously, that's the one you go to first. But figuring out the order for the other ones is difficult, because you either go to the graveyard or the museum. The museum door is another loading zone, by the way.
The Salem Museum.
It's easier to go from the museum to the graveyard than it is to go from the graveyard to the museum, because you need to take one turn, as you saw, only one turn in order to get from the museum to the graveyard, but getting from the graveyard to the museum requires a couple of turns, unless I'm mistaken. Alright, and here in the graveyard, pretty straightforward. I just go down the center because that's easier navigation. It's very easy when all you're doing is just going straight forward in a line, and you'll notice Deirdre pops up several times. It's really difficult not to click on Deirdre. If you accidentally click on her, that's gonna waste a couple of seconds because she talks to you. And then there is me messing up the navigation because you want to go forward, but those characters are forward and you don't want to click on those characters. So that was kind of tricky. I accidentally clicked on those characters. So the navigation in that area in general is a little bit tricky because there's a curve in that corner of the game where the sinkhole is. It's not like running to the museum where you just go forward in a straight line. And this is a pretty simple puzzle.
Someday.
Here I accidentally, you see, I tried to click on the U-turn, but the game made me go forward, so I U-turned immediately and went back into this room.
Well,
because that's what you have to do. You go into the room and you talk to the judge, and that's the end of day number 1 of the game. Here's another place where sort of weird navigation. Actually, the navigation to getting to Deirdre's car is not that bad. But the navigation, if you're going left out of the courthouse, is a little bad because the game assumes you're trying to talk to Jason. That was another loading screen, by the way. Whenever the screen turns black for over 4 seconds, that's a loading screen. That's a loading screen. Here's a conversation where we select the first conversation option twice. That allows us to skip talking to May about her lighter, because what you're supposed to do is find a lighter for her. That way she becomes your friend. But no, you can actually talk to her about the cool music, and that makes her become your friend as well. It's obviously faster to do the conversation as it is opposed to finding this item. A couple of other things you can skip. Let's see. Like, there's an optional puzzle with in the waste paper basket. You have that jigsaw puzzle with the paper. You can totally skip that. And here it's slightly faster to move around that that statue as opposed to just going straight and then right and then left. It's a couple of steps faster, just a couple of steps faster because of the tight turn. But if you're going in the other direction, it's not faster at all. Because if you're going in the other direction, the game assumes that you're trying to reach Lauren's shop, and then it tries to throw you in there. And we'll reach Lauren's shop later on in the game. First, we actually need to meet Lauren. So skip the cutscene again. Here you want to select the first option twice, which is kind of tricky. You have to move your mouse sort of exactly to get that, because those are short conversations. And then this is another conversation where you talk to her about everything. So I try to move my mouse to the bottom of the screen so I don't have to move it up and down or left and right. I can just click randomly without moving my mouse. And now I'm moving my mouse in advance because I know there's an escape cutscene. There's a skip cutscenes. So here's an actual loading screen.
What's going on?
So this game has two types of loading screens. It has this loading screen, and then it has, oh, the screen just goes black for a while everything loads.
What?
So I guess you call one the official loading screen and the unofficial loading screen.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to speedrunning, there is a difference of opinion over whether or not loading screens should count, because you're technically not playing the game, you're just waiting for the game to load. So, you know, if you don't count loading screens, then, you know, this is not a 29-minute speedrun. This is, what, like a 26-minute speedrun? I don't know how much loading there is in this game, but there is definitely more than, say, a half minute of loading. And then you get the secondary question of, well, do you count the, you know, those secondary loading screens where the screen just goes black, not just the loading screen where it says loading. Well, if you get rid of those too, then I don't know. You would have to count. You would have to take off a lot of time for the speedrun, and I don't know who would be the person in charge of like enforcing it to make sure your counting is correct. I don't have a stopwatch running in the corner.
I think.
So part of the reason why I'm running this game in full screen mode is I'm not worrying about these loading screens. But if you really were super worried about the loading screen, what you would have to do is change the game's settings. Oh, here's a pain.
I think.
So Joe talked there and said, "This is going great, I think." You can't skip that line of dialogue. I clicked, you can't skip that line of dialogue. So Joe is wasting 2 seconds because I solved the puzzle, but Joe was talking. So I solved the puzzle, wait for Joe to finish talking, and then the game says you solved the puzzle. So that's that. Joe, the speedrun is 29 minutes and 2 seconds, so it makes me mad when I have to spend 2 seconds of Joe randomly talking. Anyway, oh, and here's, the conversations in this state of the game are pretty difficult because you need to talk to people about the alibi, so you need to select the correct conversation options and not the incorrect ones. And it changes for every character. So like with Lauren, you have to talk to her about 3 out of 5 things. And with May, you talk to her about 1 out of 3 things. And Olivia, you talk to her about 2 out of 3 things. It's just kind of difficult with the various characters. Okay, and here's Lauren. We select the first conversation option.
Look,
and then we talk to her again.
No, I'm sure I was coming. I've said.
And I think I'm doing this perfectly. Yeah, okay, so I did this perfectly with her conversation. And now I'm going to run to Alicia, because one of the things I talked to Lauren about was her key. And we're going to get it from Alicia right now. So getting back to what I was saying, you can change the settings for this game. what you would do is you change the settings so it's running in 640 by 480 mode, just the smallest resolution possible, and then you change all the graphical settings from high to low. That way it doesn't take as long to load anything, and you can just zoom through the, you can just basically just zoom through those loading screens. So if you're really concerned with the loading screens, that means you're playing the game on super low resolution. And it's kind of difficult to do the game on super low resolution. Any puzzle where you have to click on something which is near the edge of the screen, it's harder to reach that because the screen isn't as wide. So there are a couple of places where that can throw you off. You just need to memorize new places to click if you're running in the low resolution. Okay, so we have that conversation. We want to take a look at this thing here. Ugh. Accidentally messed up trying to click on that thing. So that's a skip, although it's not 100% obvious. What you're supposed to do is talk to the judge and then call Nancy's dad. But by calling Nancy's father first, I was able to skip the conversation with the judge. He talks about Bitcoin for some reason, so skipping that conversation is a time saver. So calling Nancy's father first skips that conversation. Now, you absolutely do have to go through the door. I mean, you have to see that scene with the judge and his son first. I don't know why, but I've tried doing the skip without watching the scene of the judge and his son, and you can't do it. You have to see that before going into the evidence room. Otherwise, you can't skip that conversation. No idea why. Okay, so with the judge, you select the second from last option 3 times. With Jason, second from last option twice. They have really simple conversations to get through for alibis. Same with Tegan, second to last conversation option twice. So with Nancy's phone, I did this with her father too. Nancy gets invited to various text message groups. So what you need to do is either 2 things, either close or either that, which is you open your phone and you click back twice, or what I did with Nancy's father was close the phone and open the phone and then immediately close it. So you double click on the phone to open and close it. That way you don't see the text message conversation with Ned. It's sort of the same thing either way. Either way, you have to click twice to get out of the text messages, but so it's just personal preference whether you want to open and shut the phone, or open the phone and use the back button on the phone. Okay, so we talked to everybody with Olivia. You select the first and third option, not the second option, so that's kind of tricky. Alicia's is the most difficult one if you're paying attention during that, because she has like 7 or so things to talk about. But if you layer your mouse along with the dialogue box, you can do that for the second, third, and fourth conversation options with Alicia. So that way you can always have your mouse just in the same spot and click through those 3 conversations. So that makes it a little bit easier, but you still have to move up and down because she just has complicated conversations. She's got a lot to talk to you about because it's basically the only time she is going to talk to you. Okay, and here we're finding more items. In the Hathorn house, you find those 2 things. You find the letter and you find the business card, and then Tegan calls you. End of the second day of the game. So if you're speedrunning this game, this is another loading screen cutscene.
So
if you're speedrunning the game by yourself, you'll get really used to like the first 14 to 15 minutes, because you're going to have to do those over and over and over again, because this is the part where the game gets interesting, or I should say the speedrun gets interesting. This is a randomized challenge, the challenge you have to do here in the graveyard.
Sure, and all set.
Also, it's super difficult on Master Sleuth Mode, so that's where it also gets interesting. It's the first puzzle that's different on Master Sleuth and Amateur Sleuth Mode, so that's what makes it interesting. So, here I think as a general rule of thumb, if you beat this section in under a minute and a half, you're generally good. You're good to go. Under a minute and 15 seconds is that's really good too. So I beat it in okay, 1 minute and 4 seconds, and then
I've adjusted
64 milliseconds, I believe they're called. So I beat this puzzle ridiculously quickly. Now, can you beat it faster? Yeah. If you have really good luck, then yeah. In fact, I think what some people will do is save the game, because you can save the game right before every single one of these wavelength puzzles. So what you would do is you'd save before all 3 of those puzzles.
But what's it? All right,
And then just reload over and over and over again until you get super duper lucky. So yeah, so that was the biggest time savers getting. I had a fair amount of luck with that puzzle being it way faster than normal. But yeah, I imagine if you save, you could probably get through that section in under half a minute. Definitely, give yourself only 10 seconds per puzzle. It's possible. It's possible if you start like one thing away from the correct solution. It's all just random. So, and then on again on Master Sleuth Mode, whew, that puzzle is super difficult. So I budget about 5 minutes for that puzzle if you're trying to do it on Master Sleuth Mode. Okay, this is a cutscene. That's kind of tough to pick up that note because it's so far on the other side.
There's a gravestone.
So you'll notice I'm actually interacting with the map without being able to see it. There's a couple of places in the game where you can do something like that, where you've got like these loading zones or these possible investigation zones. So, like example, the notepad on the judge's desk, you can actually click on it through the door to make that work. This puzzle, I kind of didn't do so well. I guess I was kind of nervous because I just finished getting a really good job on the other one. I mean, on the wavelength puzzles. So I'm gonna screw up here, and it's gonna cost me about 10 seconds of screw ups. That's the major mistake of this run, is messing up on the decoder here. Huh. I guess it's the next round that I screw up on. See, the fastest I've ever solved this puzzle is oh, I don't have it written down. Okay, well, anyway, I mess up here because I moved the thing over one too many. So that didn't cost me 10 seconds. Oh, I guess I wasn't as bad as I thought. Well, it's still kind of a time waster. It's oh yeah, okay, there we go. I forgot to click. Okay, that's the other mistake here. Okay, that makes more sense then. About this being the worst part of the run. Oh, and I messed up on that too? Oh, okay. And that, yeah, so as you can see, I got a little twitchy and just moved my mouse too far and was getting a little nervous, so I kinda messed up there. So that's the biggest mistake of the run. I make and there was some smaller mistakes, like you saw, you know, as soon as I unlocked the judge's door, I accidentally went forward instead of U-turning, but that's not really that big a deal. There's another loading screen. I mean, a simple navigation mistake where I immediately, click in less than a second to get Nancy back on track. That's fine. Messing up that decryption puzzle where I had to move the wheel and click and turn back, that's not so good. That's more of a time waster.
Olivia.
Now my other big time saver is coming up. It's going to be the other random puzzle in the game. Had super good luck on that one too. So having good luck on the 2 random puzzles was just great. So I saved about, 20 seconds on both of them? Ooh, 24 seconds. Wow. Huh. Cool.
What happened? So
yeah, I saved 20 seconds on one puzzle and then 24 seconds on the other puzzle. Saved about 24 seconds on the wavelengths compared to like my normal speed. Because as I said, you know, it usually takes me about 30 seconds to do one of those wavelength things. Okay, so this is just a lot of talking. And here's going to be a glitch. So I don't know why this glitch works, but it does. The CCTV puzzle, if you beat the CCTV puzzle on your own, the game remembers it in its temporary memory. As long as you've still got the game running. So if you start a new game or load a saved game, it will still think you've beaten the CCTV puzzle because you already beat it on your own. So I'm going to click out of it and bam, there. See, now that was another navigational error, U-turn as opposed to turning left. Not that big a deal. It's not as embarrassing or ugly looking as messing up on that decoder puzzle.
The Salem.
And that's also another mistake. Didn't mean to click on the Salem Museum sign. Okay, you select the second from last option with her, and then you just leave. Yeah, so you notice U-turning can be kind of difficult in this game. There's a little space above the inventory bar and below the inventory bar, but if you don't get it exact, the game thinks you're trying to click on something in your inventory bar. So, and if you try to click on something to the left, then, well, the game might think, hey, you're trying to click on Nancy's phone. So you might notice with a lot of puzzles where you zoom in on it, there's an X button to X out of the puzzle, and we're going to see that here with the ergot spore thing. Where you zoom in here. Oh, I guess we're not going to see it. Yeah, no, see the X out? So you see how the X out is in the exact same spot as Nancy's phone? So that's also a tough area to double click, because, you know, if you click an extra time, the game thinks you're trying to use the phone. So just minor stuff like that can trip you up. And here's another loading scene. Okay, now we're going to have a longish conversation with Tegan. You select the second option multiple times. And then I'm trying to move my mouse over to the left. I guess I did not do a good job of that. To skip that cutscene, pick up May's phone, and then I leave.
Hey.
Go to Jason. I'm just going to talk to him about everything. Another loading screen. So that was me actually clicking during the loading screen to skip the dialogue as opposed to listening to it.
Alicia.
I'm not sure if that was a time saver or not, but at this point I'm just used to clicking just repeatedly through everything. I do like scenes like this where I get like 3 seconds of a phone call where I don't need to click. So it gives my fingers a minor break. Okay, so here I'm moving my mouse sort of to the bottom right, to the right of where my inventory is, because that's an easier place to U-turn. And yeah, I'm trying to get that little tiny area that you can click in. It's not very easy. It's sort of near the lantern, because you've got two ways you can get to Olivia's from the graveyard. You can go forward, left. And, go forward and then left, or you could go, there's a little tiny spot which is forward left, which is right by that area I keep trying to click in, but it's just it's a little bit too close, so that's kind of a pain. But hey, what you gonna do? That's just how the navigation in this game is set up. Okay, so this puzzle is not too difficult. You just need to either read the solutions off a piece of paper or remember it. There's an awful lot of like moving your mouse left and right. That's mostly what the time waster is. Because, well, there's no way to avoid having to move your mouse left and right.
Joe.
Even something like this, where you have to click repeatedly to go up, there's still kind of like little breaks where the game is waiting for you to click again, even though you can't go left and right. So that was a bit of a time saver. Not much. You notice I managed to click and interact with the puzzle before the Hardy Boys started talking about the puzzle. Not the biggest time saver, but hey.
God.
Saves a little bit of time. There's a cutscene. Gotta skip another cutscene here. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So you see there, I accidentally clicked resume instead of skip cutscene. Oh well. This is the fastest way through the combo. I mean, I'm basically clicking. You can't even hear the conversation, but yeah. We have to wait for that minor animation of
something moved.
the thing to move while the characters talk. Okay, and then we find the will, and we're going to skip some cutscenes here. And then this is going to be the other puzzle, which is just me getting super lucky and saving about 20 seconds. Because I do this in 47 seconds and 67, I don't know, milliseconds. Whereas normally it takes about a minute and 10 seconds. About a minute and 10 seconds. Simply because the location of the drawers is randomized. It's just random every single time you play the game. So even if you save your game and reload, it's still gonna be different. That's what happened to me, you know, testing this out. But I got a solution which is really, really similar to the one I got last time. And so that's how I'm able to zoom through this so quickly. Here you can see I'm obviously just doing it by eyesight. That's why I'm hesitating a brief second in between these drawers. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, which one of the open spaces does this piece actually go into? Because I did not have the actual correct solution written down ahead of time, because like I said, it's random. But it was, I don't know, 70% the same as the solution I had the time before. So that was helpful. That was helpful. Here's going to be a minor mistake. I accidentally selected the first option rather than the second option. You're supposed to select the second option multiple times.
What?
Not that big a deal. Okay, we ask her for a lighter, then we end the conversation. We use the lighter on all three things.
There.
1, 2, and then 3.
Got it.
Grab this. Grab that. Grab that. U-turn. Use the note on the lantern. Metal object here.
Yeah.
Skip through this conversation,
Forget.
and then metal object there a second time. Oh no! I accidentally dropped it. Okay, well that's just not fair.
Got it.
I clicked in a slightly wrong spot in the game,
beautiful.
so that was wrong. Again, that's me getting the jitters and sort of messing up there. What you're supposed to do is just put the feathers on without clicking on that thing first. And I accidentally clicked on the thing first. Not that huge of a problem. Okay, put the key, click, skip cutscene another time.
Nancy.
Dear,
And then that's it. That's basically Endgame. That's the last puzzle. So here we have a longish conversation. What you want to do is select the final option every single time.
if the
With this first part of the conversation, it really doesn't matter what order you select those three things in. And then we have a cutscene to skip, moving my mouse up and left, so I'm right here at the skip cutscene button. And then I have to move it immediately back down to where I was at the bottom of the screen to select the last option twice.
You made this poor girl, you know, a judge.
So, what I'm doing here in the final option is I'm telling the judge basically to arrest Tegan. That way Tegan is not here in this ending scene and I don't have to talk to her. This is what we do at the end of the game. You talk to every single character and then you're done. Every single character and then step outside. So I don't know what the closing point is for the speedrun. When do we consider the end of the game? Is it when Nancy steps out the door? Or is it when you hit the escape button to hit select cutscene? Or is it here when you hit skip cutscene? Don't know. Or is it actually here when the credits start? I don't know what we consider the official end of the game. Anyway, that's my speedrun. That's how I beat the game in under a half hour. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.